You're probably the last person to be doing what you're doing who hasn't been massively influenced by Instagram. Everyone who comes
Yes,
after you now is going to be Insta, Insta, Insta,
but
which
you can
is,
see the difference.
you're right. Right,
Yeah.
and what's Insta done? It's all more spectacular and it's all just more ridiculous. It's like grabbing now, isn't it? That's the
Yeah,
idea.
but and I think a lot of it is people make food now that is visually appealing as opposed to thoughtfully made to be
Yes.
delicious. You know, everyone is slightly guilty of that, but also you can. I think that the amazing thing about Instagram is you can learn faster,
Mm.
and you can also learn things that you wouldn't. Back then, you just didn't have all of these connections to people all around the world and see what everybody was doing all the time. Whereas now you do,
And do you think
which
that could be
is,
too much? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? A bit too much.
I think it's too much.
Because you've got to learn
Because now
slowly. And
everywhere's got the same sort of thing on their menu or the same sort of, you know, it will be like this month everyone's got this, and then this, you know, it does feel quite samey.
it's interesting. So weirdly, you'd think an explosion of Instagram stuff would lead to loads of different things, but actually everyone just sort of gets into line behind a craze.
Yeah, in certain areas. So like
puddings,
in
desserts.
in puddings and desserts, you
Yeah.
can sort of see the people that cook seasonally, for example, are all making the same seasonal dishes every month. Yeah, sorry, like very similar.
Right.
It's
Okay.
not a bad thing, but it's just you wouldn't have that before
So what
as much.
What dessert would you see now at a restaurant and go, that's so now?
No, I don't. I don't want to be.
No, you don't have to. I mean,
Oh.
like, I'm okay. So, like, what craze? I don't want to get you in any hot water, but what craze for a dessert, maybe like 10 years ago,
Yeah.
would you sort of look at and go, oh, I can't believe everyone's doing this?
Well, as in 10 years ago, you would have maybe in France they have galette de roi, which
that?
is like a king cake, and it's a puff pastry, almost like layered, two pieces of puff pastry, and like a petivier.
Starving. So
And in the middle is this almond frangipane.
oh, stop it! Almond.
It's so good.
Almond is.
And they are beautiful, and they take so much skill, and they're really hard to master. And I remember first being in kitchens and having to learn how to make them through books, through the Roux Brothers books.
Yes.
And, you know, really trying, and every time it would fail because they're really meticulous. You'd have to like make another one and research and just try your best to make it good. And or you'd have to ask someone who knew how to make them. Like that's how sort of how things happened.
Fail.
Yeah.
Fail. That's what
And
you have to do.
now it's like you see this January, I could go and pick up a piece of this, you know, galette
Yeah.
across lots of bakeries all over London, which is amazing because they're delicious. But they're all really good,
Right.
and they're all on the menu because it's,
So you're less likely to be surprised. And go,
Yes.
oh, what? That's interesting. They've done that.
But in one way, it's amazing because I think it's such a gorgeous thing to eat. So it's nice to have it everywhere.
Mm.
But then, isn't the world interesting? Because back then you would really have to graft and find out how to do things, like go to a fucking library.
Yeah.
And now you just sort of go online and
Yeah.
it's just, you've got a reel that shows you how to make it.
Yeah. It has made certain things too easy.
And loads of different recipes, whereas before you'd have to actually find recipes in books.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Interesting. It is. It's really, really interesting.